Muscle growth after 60 is possible with this natural supplement. Here's a fact that most people don't know. Your body can still build muscle well into your 60s, 70s, even your 80s, if you give it the right signal. Not a signal from the gym. A signal from inside your body, the biochemical kind. And here's the kicker, one of the most effective ways to trigger that signal is a natural compound your body already makes. You just start making less of it as you age. It's called creatine. Most people associate creatine with bodybuilders in their 20s. But the science tells a different story, especially for older adults. A double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in the Journals of Gerontology found that adults over 60 who took creatine and followed a simple resistance training program gained significantly more muscle mass, strength, and even cognitive function compared to those who trained without it. This is not just about looking stronger. It's about protecting your ability to stand up from a chair, walk without a cane, reduce your risk of falls, and even maintain mental clarity. Because muscle isn't just muscle. It's metabolic currency. It's brain support. It's independence. And yet, the fitness industry rarely talks to older adults this way. We've been conditioned to believe that muscle loss is inevitable, a natural part of aging. But what the research shows is that it's not inevitable. You can rebuild. You can get stronger. And a simple, safe, and natural supplement can help you do it, if you know how and when to use it. In this episode, we're going to walk through 6 breakthrough insights about muscle growth after 60. You'll learn what happens inside your muscle fibers, what signals the brain sends, and how one natural compound can shift your body's trajectory, without needing extreme workouts or complicated routines. And by the end, you'll have a clear, science-backed protocol that you can start applying today. Let's dive in. A preview of the 6 breakthrough ideas we'll explore in the rest of the episode. These aren't just scattered facts, each one builds on the last, giving your viewer a full understanding of how to turn the science into results. 1. Why muscle loss accelerates after 60, and how to reverse it. 2. The truth about creatine, it's not just for young athletes. 3. How resistance training works differently after 60. 4. Timing and dosage, how to use creatine effectively after 60. 5. The brain-muscle connection, why strength training improves cognition. 6. A simple weekly protocol to grow stronger in your 60s and beyond. If this kind of clear, science-backed insight is already helping you rethink what's possible after 60, consider subscribing. This channel is built to give you the tools, grounded in neuroscience and physiology, to feel stronger, sharper, and more in control of your health. Ready to move? Let's start with what's really going on inside your body when muscle starts to fade. Around the age of 60, most people begin to lose muscle at a rate of 3 to 5% per decade. That's not just about appearance, it affects balance, mobility, energy, and even your metabolism. But here's the thing, this muscle loss isn't just because of age. It's because of disuse and disrupted signaling. Your brain controls every movement through a network of motor neurons. These neurons send electrical signals to muscle fibers, telling them when to contract, how much force to produce, and when to recover. But as we get older, many of those motor neurons start to die off. When they do, the muscle fibers they used to control go silent. They shrink. They weaken. And eventually, they disappear. This process is called denervation-induced atrophy, and it's one of the key drivers of age-related muscle loss. But the loss of neurons doesn't happen overnight, and it's not irreversible. Here's what the research shows. A 2013 study in the Journal of Neuroscience found that regular strength training can stimulate the regrowth of neuromuscular junctions, the exact places where nerves connect to muscles. In other words, exercise helps rewire your body. Think of your nervous system like a conversation. If you stop using your muscles, the brain stops talking to them. The silence becomes permanent. But when you train, especially with resistance, you restart that conversation. You tell your brain, hey, we still need this connection. And the body responds by reinforcing the nerve-muscle pathway. Now here's another layer to the story. As you age, your body becomes less sensitive to anabolic signals, the chemical cues that normally stimulate muscle growth. This includes things like insulin, testosterone, and IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor. So even if you're eating protein or lifting weights, your body doesn't always register that it should grow. But, and this is the part that matters, that resistance can be overcome. In fact, a study published in Age and Aging showed that when older adults were given the right combination of protein intake, resistance exercise, and creatine, they not only maintained muscle mass but gained it, even in their 70s. So, what does this mean for you? It means that muscle loss after 60 isn't inevitable. It's not a slow slide into weakness. It's a response to reduced neural signaling and understimulated growth pathways. And you can change both. A simple way to start reversing this trend is with what's called a minimum effective dose protocol. Here's what that might look like. Twice per week, do resistance exercises that focus on major muscle groups, legs, back, and core are essential. Each session should include 3 to 4 movements using bodyweight, resistance bands, or light dumbbells, enough to challenge the muscle without overstressing joints. Immediately post-workout, consume 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein with 3 to 5 grams of creatine. This pairing boosts muscle protein synthesis and supports reinnervation. Even just 8 to 10 weeks of this approach can lead to measurable increases in strength, mobility, and even brain function. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you challenged your muscles with intention, not just walked, but really trained them to grow? The moment you decide to re-engage your nervous system and give your muscles a reason to come back online, your body listens. Age slows things down, but it doesn't shut them off. And in the next section, we'll go deeper into why creatine, a supplement often misunderstood or ignored by older adults, might be one of the most powerful tools to accelerate this regrowth, not just in your muscles, but in your mind. When you hear the word creatine, what comes to mind? For most people, it's high school athletes mixing powder into a shaker bottle, hoping to get bigger arms. But that's a narrow, and outdated, view. Here's what the science actually says. Creatine is one of the most studied, safest, and most effective supplements for older adults looking to build muscle, improve brain function, and slow the physical effects of aging. Let's unpack why. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound stored in your muscles and brain. Its job is simple but essential. It helps produce quick energy, particularly the kind your body uses during short, intense effort, like lifting something heavy or climbing stairs. As you age, your natural stores of creatine decline, which means your energy systems become less efficient, and muscle recovery slows down. Here's the kicker. You can replenish these stores with a small daily dose of creatine monohydrate. That's it. No crazy stacks or cycling. Just a consistent intake of the compound your body already uses, just not in large enough quantities past your 50s. Now, let's bring in the data. A 2017 meta-analysis published in Experimental Gerontology looked at over 20 clinical trials involving older adults. The findings? Creatine supplementation led to significant improvements in lean body mass, upper and lower body strength, and functional performance, especially when combined with resistance training. That means better walking speed, better balance, and more muscle to protect your bones and joints. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Creatine doesn't just support your muscles. It supports your brain. A 2020 review in Neuroscience and Biobehavioral Reviews found that creatine supplementation improved cognitive tasks that require short-term memory, reasoning, and processing speed, particularly in older adults and individuals under mental fatigue. Why does that happen? Because the brain, like muscle, needs quick bursts of energy to function at its best. And when creatine stores are low, those bursts become sluggish. By restoring those reserves, you're literally fueling your brain to think faster and more clearly, especially under stress. Still skeptical? That's a healthy instinct. But here's a thought exercise. If there were a prescription drug that was shown, across dozens of studies, to improve muscle strength, speed up recovery, protect the brain, and had virtually no serious side effects, wouldn't you expect it to be front-page news? That's creatine. The only difference is, it's not a drug. It's a compound your body already knows how to use, and it costs less than a cup of coffee per day. So what should you look for? Creatine monohydrate is the gold standard. Avoid fancy versions that cost more but don't perform better. 3 to 5 grams daily is the typical dose. No need to load or cycle. It can be taken with or without food, though pairing it with carbs or protein post-workout may help muscle uptake slightly. Consistency is key. It's not about what you take once, it's what you give your body every day. And just to be clear, creatine is not a magic bullet. It won't build muscle on its own. What it does is enhance the results of resistance training, especially in people who have low baseline levels, like most older adults. If this insight is helping you shift how you think about aging and strength, hit the subscribe button. We go deep into the science, not just to inform, but to give you tools you can actually use. In the next section, we'll break down what kind of resistance training works best after 60. Because the way you train in your 60s shouldn't look like your workouts in your 30s, and that difference can make or break your results. Most people assume that lifting weights is just lifting weights. Whether you're 30 or 60, the rules are the same. But that's not true, and believing that is one of the biggest reasons people over 60 get frustrated or injured when trying to build muscle. Here's the reality: the aging body needs a different kind of signal to grow, not a weaker signal, but a smarter one. Let's start with a quick look inside your muscle fibers. When you're younger, your body responds rapidly to stress. You lift a weight, microtears form in the muscle, your body releases growth factors like IGF-1 and testosterone, and new tissue is laid down during recovery. But after 60, those signals are less sensitive. The same workout that built muscle in your 30s may now just feel exhausting without producing much gain. Why? 2 big reasons. 1. Slower protein synthesis. Your muscles don't rebuild as fast after training. 2. Greater vulnerability to fatigue and inflammation. Your recovery systems are working harder to keep up. So what's the solution? Not to train less, but to train differently, with more attention to intensity, tempo, and recovery. Here's what the research shows. A 2019 study in Frontiers in Physiology found that low-load resistance training taken to near-muscular failure produced similar hypertrophy, muscle growth, as heavy lifting in older adults, with far less strain on joints and connective tissue. In plain terms, you don't need to lift heavy. You need to lift smart, and push the muscle close to its limit, even if you're using light weight or just body weight. Let's break that into a usable framework. The Stimulate-Don't-Annihilate protocol. Frequency: 2 to 3 times per week. Your body needs recovery days more than it used to. Exercise type: prioritize compound movements, squats, rows, push-ups, step-ups. These recruit more muscle and stimulate greater systemic response. Sets and reps: aim for 2 to 3 sets per movement, 10 to 15 reps, taken close to failure, meaning the last 2 reps should feel very difficult, but not sloppy. Rest: take 45 to 90 seconds between sets. You're not rushing, you're letting the muscle reload. Here's an example routine. Chair squats, 3 sets of 12. Wall push UPS, 2 sets of 10 to 15. Resistance band rows, 3 sets of 10. Step UPS on a low platform, 2 sets of 8 each leg. Each of these trains strength, balance, and coordination, without putting joints at risk. Let's ask a practical question. When was the last time your workout focused not just on burning calories, but but on building functional strength, the kind you use to carry groceries, get off the floor, or stabilize yourself on uneven ground. This isn't just about aesthetics or fitness. It's about preserving autonomy. About being able to live on your terms. One more critical point, recovery becomes more important than ever. Without it, your body won't adapt. Make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Adequate hydration, especially important with creatine, which pulls water into muscle. Sufficient protein intake, at least 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day if you're training. The older you get, the more intentional your training needs to be. Not harder. Just better. In the next section, we'll go straight into how to pair this kind of training with proper creatine timing and dosage, because that combination is what accelerates results, especially after 60. Let's say you're on board. You're training with intention. You've decided to give creatine a try. Now the question becomes, when should you take it? How much? And how do you use it without wasting time or money? Here's where people get it wrong, even seasoned gym-goers. They treat creatine like a pre-workout stimulant, something to feel immediately. But creatine doesn't work like caffeine. It doesn't give you a buzz. It works by accumulating in your muscle cells over time, so that when your body needs fast energy, whether during a set of squats or while standing up from a chair, it has the fuel ready. And that means timing matters less than consistency. Let's break it down. How much to take? The research consistently supports a daily dose of 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. That's it. No fancy formulas. No exotic blends. For older adults, especially those just starting out, 5 grams per day is a safe and effective dose. Your body will gradually saturate muscle creatine stores over the course of about 3 to 4 weeks. Some people choose to do a loading phase, 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days, but for most, it's not necessary, especially if digestive comfort is a concern. What matters is taking it every single day, even on rest days. When to take it? If you're training, studies suggest taking creatine immediately after your workout, ideally paired with a carbohydrate or protein-rich meal. Why? Because insulin, the hormone released when you eat, helps shuttle creatine into muscle cells. A 2013 study in Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that post-exercise creatine intake led to greater lean mass gains compared to pre-workout use in older adults. But again, what matters more than timing is not missing a day. Morning, afternoon, night, doesn't matter. Build the habit. How to take it? Mix it into a glass of water, a smoothie, or even your post-workout protein shake. It dissolves easily in warm liquid. No need to cycle off. Creatine is safe for long-term daily use, and multiple studies have found no harmful effects on liver or kidney function in healthy older adults. Still, if you have chronic kidney disease, it's worth speaking to your doctor before starting, just to be cautious. Let's talk about absorption for a moment. A common mistake people make is adding creatine to hot coffee or tea, which seems fine, but heat can break down creatine into a waste compound called creatinine, which won't help you. So, avoid boiling liquids. Room temperature or slightly warm is fine. Now, if you're wondering, will I notice anything? Here's what most people report within the first 4 to 6 weeks. Improved strength and endurance during workouts. Faster recovery between sessions. Less overall fatigue, especially during physical tasks like climbing stairs or carrying groceries. And in some cases, a noticeable lift in cognitive energy, clearer thinking, better word recall. But here's the nuance, creatine won't do the work for you. It amplifies the signal. If you're sending the right signal, training with purpose, fueling well, and sleeping enough, creatine makes that signal louder. If you're sending no signal, it doesn't matter what supplements you take. Nothing changes. So the tool is only as powerful as the system it's added to. In the next section, we'll explore how strength training enhances brain health, and why staying strong is one of the best ways to protect memory, focus, and long-term mental clarity as you age. We tend to think of muscle as something purely physical. Something you build, see, flex. But the truth is, your muscle health is deeply tied to your brain health, and the connection runs in both directions. Here's what the research shows. When older adults engage in regular resistance training, they don't just get stronger physically. They also experience measurable improvements in memory, attention, processing speed, and even emotional regulation. This isn't a coincidence. It's biology. Let's start with a 2012 study published in Archives of Internal Medicine. Researchers followed over 3,500 older adults for 8 years. They found that participants with the highest levels of muscle strength had the lowest risk of cognitive decline, even when controlling for age, education, and physical activity levels. Another randomized controlled trial out of the University of British Columbia found that just 2 sessions of resistance training per week improved executive function and conflict resolution skills in women aged 65 to 75. So, what's happening here? Every time you train a muscle, your brain has to fire the signal to activate it. That's not just a motor task, it's a neurological workout. Over time, these repeated signals strengthen the connections between brain regions, particularly the prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and decision-making, and the hippocampus, critical for memory. Resistance training also increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, a protein that supports the growth of new neurons and protects existing ones. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. And it turns out that lifting weights is one of the most effective ways to boost BDNF levels. There's also the hormonal piece. Strength training triggers the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, which improve focus, motivation, and learning. Here's a powerful visual. Every time you train your body to lift a little more weight, you're literally reinforcing the neurological pathways that help you think more clearly, react faster, and regulate emotions more effectively. This matters not just for cognitive sharpness, but for independence and quality of life. People with more strength and better balance fall less. They stay socially engaged. They feel more capable, which directly affects their mental state. Physical decline often leads to cognitive and emotional withdrawal, but the opposite is also true. Let me ask you this. If someone told you there was a daily activity that could lower your risk of dementia, improve your mood, and help you feel more present and in control, would you do it? Because that's what resistance training does, when done consistently, even at low to moderate intensity. Now, let's tie this back to creatine. Remember how we said earlier that creatine fuels short bursts of energy? Well, your brain uses that same energy system for high-demand tasks, like solving problems, reacting under stress, or recalling information under pressure. So when you combine strength training with daily creatine, you're optimizing both systems. The muscle-brain loop, where physical work reinforces mental sharpness. And the energy availability loop, where creatine keeps your brain from sputtering during high-demand moments. This isn't just healthy aging. It's active, powerful aging. And in the next section, we're going to pull it all together, the training, the timing, the tools, into a simple, repeatable weekly protocol designed specifically for adults over 60 who want to regain strength, protect their brain, and feel more capable than they have in years. Let's take everything we've covered, the science, the tools, the timing, and translate it into a plan you can actually use. Not something complicated. Not something extreme. A weekly protocol that fits into real life and helps you rebuild strength, sharpen your mind, and feel more in control of your body. Here's the key idea: you don't need a perfect plan, you need a repeatable one. And consistency beats intensity, especially after 60. Let's break the protocol down into 5 core elements. 1. Resistance training, 2 to 3 times per week. Your muscles and your brain both thrive on challenge, not punishment, but challenge. That means using light to moderate resistance with intention and effort. Each session should last 30 to 45 minutes and include 1 lower body push, e.g., chair squats or step-ups. 1 upper body push, e.g., wall or incline push-ups. 1 upper body pull, e.g., resistance band rows or dumbbell rows. 1 core stability movement, e.g., bird dogs or planks. Perform 2 to 3 sets of each exercise, aiming for 10 to 15 reps per set. Use a weight or resistance level that makes the final 2 reps feel challenging, but not painful. Keep rest between sets to 60 to 90 seconds. Enough to catch your breath, not enough to fully cool down. 2. Daily creatine, 5 grams per day. No cycling. No loading. Just 5 grams, every day. Take it after your workout on training days, ideally with 20 to 30 grams of protein, e.g., a shake or meal. On rest days, any time is fine, just be consistent. Pairing creatine with protein and carbs improves uptake. And if you're feeling any stomach discomfort, split the dose into 2.5 grams twice a day, morning and evening. 3. Protein intake, spread throughout the day. To support recovery and muscle growth, aim for 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. For a 70 kilogram person, about 154 pounds, that's 85 to 110 grams per day. Don't try to get it all in one meal. Space it across 3 to 4 meals or snacks. Space it across 3 to 4 meals or snacks, each with at least 25 to 30 grams of protein. Research shows that's the sweet spot for muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Include foods like eggs, Greek yogurt, lean meats or fish, lentils and beans, whey or plant-based protein powder if needed. 4. Mobility plus walking, daily. Movement isn't just about training sessions. Your joints and brain respond best to frequent, low-intensity movement. Each day, aim for 20 to 30 minutes of walking, can be broken up into shorter chunks. 5 to 10 minutes of mobility work, gentle stretching, shoulder rolls, ankle circles, hip openers. Think of this as body maintenance. It keeps you fluid, stable, and pain-free between workouts. 5. Sleep, non-negotiable. You can train perfectly and eat perfectly, but if you're sleeping poorly, you're not recovering. Older adults often experience lighter sleep, but you can improve quality by keeping a consistent wake and sleep time. Avoiding bright screens 60 minutes before bed. Keeping your bedroom cool, quiet, and dark. Limiting caffeine after the morning. Aim for 7 to 9 hours per night. Recovery happens while you sleep, physically and neurologically. Putting it all together. If you followed this weekly protocol, just 3 workouts, daily creatine, solid protein intake, walking, and quality sleep, you'd see and feel the difference in 4 to 6 weeks. More energy. More control over your body. Less stiffness. Better balance. Clearer thinking. And a deeper sense that you're not fading, you're rebuilding. That's what the science supports. That's what your biology is still capable of. And it starts with small steps done consistently. In the final section, we'll tie it all together, and I'll give you one simple challenge you can start today that could shift the way your body and brain age from this point forward. A simple weekly protocol to grow stronger in your 60s and beyond. Let's put everything together now. You've got the background, why muscle loss happens, how creatine helps, what kind of training works best, and how the brain and body interact. But none of it matters unless it's actionable. So here's a simple protocol you can start using this week, one that's backed by research, works with the physiology of aging, and doesn't require hours at the gym. Weekly strength protocol for 60+. Training, 3x per week. Focus on compound movements, squats or sit-to-stands, push-ups, against a wall or bench, rows, and deadlifts, with dumbbells or resistance bands. Aim for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps, with good form and rest between sets. Use progressive overload, add a little weight or an extra rep each week. Walking or light cardio, 3-5x per week. Just 20 to 30 minutes of walking, cycling, or swimming. Improves blood flow, recovery, and cognitive benefits, without stressing the joints. Creatine supplementation, daily. Dose, 3 to 5 grams per day. Take it with food, ideally a carb plus protein meal to enhance uptake. Consistency is key, no need to cycle off. Protein intake. Aim for 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kg of body weight daily. Distribute evenly across 3 meals. Prioritize leucine-rich sources, eggs, whey protein, poultry, legumes. Recovery. Sleep, 7 to 8 hours nightly, ideally going to bed and waking at the same time. Hydration, at least 6 to 8 glasses of water per day. Creatine pulls water into muscles. Why this works? This plan activates muscle protein synthesis, supports neuromuscular health, and improves cognitive clarity. It respects the slower recovery time that comes with age, while still pushing the needle on strength and vitality. Here's the takeaway: you don't need extreme workouts, magic pills, or to act young to build muscle in your 60s. You need the right inputs, and a body that's respected, not punished. Here's the thing. You're not fragile. You're adaptive. Your body may have different rules after 60, but it still responds, sometimes even better than you'd expect, when you give it what it actually needs. So if you're feeling stiff, weak, or like you've lost a step, don't write it off as just aging. That's outdated thinking. What's really happening is understimulation, underfueling, and lack of direction. And all 3 are completely fixable. Let's reset. Start here. Commit to the plan. You only need 3 focused workouts per week. It's not about doing more, it's about doing it right. Add creatine, 5 grams a day, every day. Simple. Prioritize protein, especially with breakfast. Don't skip meals, don't guess. Walk daily, not to burn calories, but to stay mobile, oxygenate your brain, and speed up recovery. Sleep and hydrate. This is when growth and repair actually happen. Treat sleep like medicine. You can reclaim strength. You can rebuild muscle. You can feel sharper, faster, more confident in your body. And no, it's not too late. The research backs this up. In fact, this next decade could be your strongest yet. If this hit home, drop a comment. Let me know what change you're making this week, even if it's just walking more or adding creatine. I read every single one. And if you found this helpful, share it with someone who needs the nudge. Stay strong. Stay sharp. You've got this.